Good morning, everyone, both live and on YouTube eventually. My name is Adrian, and we're going to be doing a myofascial release class today. You'll need two things, actually three. You'll need a roller, you'll need any kind of ball, tennis ball, hockey ball, lacrosse ball, and of course, spirit, as always. We're going to get started with a nice and easy, slow warm-up. We're going to lie on a roller. If you have a short roller or a half roller, try to have your head and the middle of your spine on the roller. If you have a full roller, try to have your head, shoulders, and tailbone on it. Like so. So, shoulders, head and tailbone on the roller. We're going to rotate our palms towards the sky. We're going to try to drop our shoulders, relax your neck, try to make your neck as long as possible. And from here, we're slowly going to work our way up and down, just dragging our arms right along the floor. If you want a bonus challenge, try to see if you can actually pull your core a little bit, draw your belly button towards the floor, have a flat back while doing these snow angels. Excellent. Slowly just work the back of our palms. You can keep the back of your palms actually on the ground or covering just maybe half an inch above. That's great. You should feel a nice, easy stretch on the chest and shoulders. This is also when you outside this class, if you want to just hang here for 5-10 minutes, just a nice easy stretch. That's going to passively just open up the chest and shoulders, especially if you've been at a desk computer or working remote. All right, here maybe 10 more seconds, just slowly opening up and down. Of course, if you're trouble hearing me, let me know in the chat. But the volume. Here, we're going to let our arms rest in whatever position you feel comfortable. We're going to put our feet together, let our knees fall to the side, and we're just going to passively let our hips open. Okay, slow, deep breath, try to breathe in a few seconds. 3, 2, 1, try to breathe out in a few seconds. 3, 2, 1. Do a couple more deep breaths. And here for about 15-20 more seconds. You're just passively opening. Let your body relax a bit before we get into the fun stuff. Of course, if any requests, if we put them in the chat, I can take requests both live and, of course, after the next class. 2, and 1. Slowly coming off the roller. Now that we're a little bit more open, we're going to get into the glutes. Always a fun time. So I take our ball, our tennis ball, or hockey ball, or lacrosse ball, whatever we have lying around. And I'm going to show you just two places I want you to landmark. First, I want you to find your tailbone right in the center of your low back, right before you hit your glutes. We're going to take the ball, we're going to place it an inch to the left of your tailbone, but I still want it to be in the glutes. So not in the bony part of your low back, you should think of the bony part of your low back. I don't want it there. I want it an inch south of that and an inch to the left of your tailbone. So that in the top right corner of your left glutes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to place the ball right there. It may be a little painful. We're going to take this knee, we're going to slowly hug it in, so whichever side the ball is on. I want you to take that knee, bring it into your chest, then curl your toes towards your head and press through your heel to slowly work through. I see the chat message, so I'm going to check that. But slowly try and work through. A little hard to hear me. Okay, I'm going to change my microphone because sometimes that set here and headset there. Okay, and that should be good. Hopefully people can hear me. Oh, maybe not. Headphones, headset. There we go. Okay. Now should be going through the correct one. So slowly working through, maybe 10 more seconds of working that knee into the chest and pressing through the heel. It's always funny reorienting yourself to the online classes, but a good refresher. All right, here we're gonna take the ball, we're gonna move it 2 inches to the left now. So we're gonna be in the top middle portion of the glute. And here I want you to take the top middle portion of your left side, take your right side or your right cheek, lift it off the ground maybe an inch. We're going to sink right into that upper middle of the left glute, and same positioning with the leg. You're going to bring that knee into your chest, press through the heel to come forward. So what we're doing is we're working, if you know your anatomy,
We're working to where the glute starts or where it originates. If that doesn't make any sense, just working where the glute comes into the low back. So knee into your chest, press through the heel. And in terms of rhythm, you can just work through whatever feels good. Try not to go fast though. Generally slower is better. So working that knee into the chest, pressing through the heel. Maybe 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to take the ball. We're going to move it another 2 inches. We're going to be in the top left corner of the left cheek. This time, I want your right side to fully come off the ground, and your hips are going to be at a 45-degree angle. And from this position, it's going to feel like the ball's behind your left pocket. If your pants don't have pockets, just pretend they do. And then knee into your chest, pressing through the heel. For some people, it gets a lot worse the further out you go. Some people, it gets a lot easier. Everyone's a little different, but just find whatever rhythm works for you. Again, you want your hips at 45 degrees. Your right side is fully off the ground, and you're in the top left corner of your left glute. And just slowly working through that heel. If it hurts just to even move or exist, that's okay. You can just hang out in one spot and not move. That's entirely valid. Work with your body. And the goal here isn't pain. While we joke around that this class is all pain, it isn't the goal of it. Try to work through and breathe through whatever tension you got going on. Maybe 10 more seconds here, knee into your chest, pressing through the heel. And of course, you want to just hang out in one little spot. That's A-okay. And 3, 2, and 1. Easing out. So hopefully that was your worst side. We'll find out, I guess. Start at your tailbone again. An inch to the right this time. Want to be in the upper left corner of the right glute. And here, bring that knee into your chest and press through the heel. This time your low back is back to being flat on the ground. And of course, everyone's different. One side may be worse than the other, and one part of the glute may be worse than the other. One thing that is always good in these kinds of classes, especially in my class, I always encourage body awareness. So if you notice, oh, my left side or my right side's a little tighter, notice if that's the same, if you squat, does it look different? If you do a lunge, does it look different? That was good to bring awareness to any kind of movement in your body, especially if you feel pain or restriction in certain parts. Slowly working through. And once again, in terms of tempo or speed, try to move at a controlled and steady pace. Try not to whip through it. Couple seconds in, couple seconds out. And 3, 2, and 1. Now take the ball, move it 2 inches to the right. Now we're going to be in the top middle portion of the right glute. This time I want your left side to come off maybe an inch off the ground. You're leaning just a bit. And same positioning as before. Knee into your chest, press through the heel. So what we're trying to do here, we're trying to use the ball to wedge it right where our glute begins. And we're taking the glute through its full natural range of motion all the way into our chest. So full extension and full flexion, just massaging right where that glute starts. Sometimes low back pain can come from the glutes. It can actually come from a lot of things, but sometimes from the glutes. This will help just ease any tension that the glutes are causing on our low back. You can also do your hamstrings. Those are kind of hard to roll. But today we're just going to target the glutes. Slowly working through, maybe 10 more seconds. So working at your own pace. And 3, 2, 1. Now taking the ball, final part of the top of the glutes. Take the ball, top right corner of the right side. This time I want your hips, your left side fully off the ground. Tilt your hips 45 degrees, and then work that knee into the chest. Now this may be pretty excruciating for some people. If this is a real rough time, just hang out. You don't have to move. You can just simply pause in a particular angle, whether knee high or knee low, doesn't matter, and just breathe. That's fine too. If you find you're holding your breath while moving, or you find you're so tense that you're feeling tension in other areas, consider pausing and just sinking into one particular position. That's fully valid. Whatever works for you. For me, luckily, this isn't too bad. For me, the calves are the worst, but everyone has their, I call them like sticky areas. For me, the glutes aren't too bad. For some people, they're pretty excruciating. Just work through whatever you got going on. About 10 more seconds here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and easing off. All right. Now to the top ridge of the glute, always a good area to do. Now we're gonna do kind of the meatier chunk of it, the whole general area. We have two options here. We can use the ball or we can use the roller. I'll show you both. The position is the same. We're gonna try to place one ankle on one knee like so. If you don't have the flexibility to do this, that's okay. You can place the ankle halfway down your shin, or even just ankle on top of ankle is okay. Whatever your range of motion and your hip flexion allows. So from here with the roller, we're gonna have a seat. Whichever side you're leaning towards, that side is gonna come up. So if I'm leaning towards my right leg is on top of my left. I'm gonna roll back and forth. Of course, if you want a more fun time, you take the ball, do the exact same thing. So take the ball, place it right underneath your glute, and same positioning. And if you're just not feeling the ball today, that's a-okay. You work with whatever you got going on. And so from here, you can try to find problem areas. You can just do a general, figure 8 or spirals. You teach this as more of an exploratory session. Do whatever feels right. So whichever side you're leaning towards, you want that leg up. Yes. This is working through. And of course, you want to, at any time, you want to just pause in a particular spot and just take a deep exhale and deep inhale. That's totally fine too. Just work through whatever you got going on. All right, sneak in an extra stretch somewhere else, that's fine too. And 3, 2, and let's switch sides. Once again, definitely notice, I always try to bring awareness to any kind of body movement in practice. Notice if one side's worse than the other, or if you feel any particular restriction. That was good to just be aware of what's going on in your body. If you have a particular knot in an area, or something feels like lumpy or bumpy, or something just feels kind of a bit sticky, it's always good to just bring awareness. And today we're going to do a bit of more of a kind of back focus. We're going to do some glutes, some middle back, some upper traps, some rhomboids. But of course, if any requests, feel free to put them in the chat. It's going to be more of a back focus. Maybe 15 more seconds here. Just really working through whatever tension you've got. Using the ball, using the roller, whatever you want. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. From here, we're gonna do our glute med and a little bit of our ITB, mostly our glute med. This is always a fun one, and it may be pretty rough for some people. I like to start off the first, online myofascial, put all the rough ones at the very front. So we're gonna do a bit of landmarking first. We're gonna take our ball. We're gonna find a hip bone. If you don't know where your hip bone is, find your belly button. Move to the side so you feel a bit of a curve. It'll feel almost like a little shape, like a little C shape. So find the edge, the front of your hip bone. Then you're gonna landmark to the side of your glute. So from your hip bone, travel in a diagonal direction towards your bum or your glute. And you should feel a spot of where you can actually sink your fingers or sink your thumb in. If you have pockets, it's gonna feel like it's beside your pocket. So to the back of your pocket. If you're still unsure, start from your hip bone and travel maybe 2 or 3 inches on a diagonal towards the floor. Once you find that soft, squishy area, you're gonna take the ball, you're gonna place it right there and then lay directly on your side. Now, if this is pretty excruciating, you don't have to stack your legs. You can kind of ease off one leg, or you want to lay on your side. This one might be pretty brutal, but you want to do your best. Make sure it's in a squishy area. If you feel like you're pressing into bone or pressing into a hard area, consider easing off and maybe shift it a little back towards the glute. So to hang out here for about 20 seconds, we're going to focus on slow, deep breaths. Of course, if you can lay on your side fully with your hips stacked, great. If that's way too painful, that's okay. You can ease off if you're on a bit of an angle. Again, listen to your body, and the goal here isn't pain. The goal here is on release. All right, from here, we're gonna either move both legs or just the bottom leg to about a 45-degree angle. So if you can, move it to 45 degrees. Of course, you can stack both your knees and hips, great. If not, just do one leg at a time. And here we're targeting the glute med. Maybe a little bit of the ITB. We're slowly going to work. And depending on how rotated your hips are. Let's see your glute med. Hang here for about 10 more seconds. Focus on slow, deep breath. Of course, if questions at any time, feel free to put them in the chat or say them out loud. And 3, 2, 1. Now try to reach a 90-degree angle. Try to put your feet, make a nice L shape with your body. If you don't have the flexibility to do an L shape, you can bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair. That's fine too. Again, work with whatever flexibility your body has. So either nice 90 degrees, like you're sitting with your legs straight, or if it's too much, you can bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair. And notice if it's worse as you come up or worse as your legs are straighter. Everyone's different. Some people it's worse the higher you go. For some people it's worse at the bottom. Well, 10 more seconds here. 10, 9, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Easing off that glute med, and we're going to do the other side now. And hopefully that was your worst side. Sometimes we don't have two bad sides, and that's okay too. So once again, we're going to landmark. We're going to find that hip bone. We're going to travel on a diagonal, maybe 2 or 3 inches down. You're going to feel a soft, squishy area right on the side of your glutes. You're going to place the ball right there and lay on top of it with your legs straight. It should feel like it sinks in. Of course, you're having trouble, just feel free to message it in the chat. Just slowly work through it. Maybe about 10 more seconds here. Just really working through that breathing. 3, 2, 1. Now take your legs, bring them to 45 degrees. Not sure what 45 degrees is, just on a nice angle. If you find it's too much with your legs stacked, you can just ease off and bring one leg behind you or in front just to take the weight off. That's fine too. So 10 more seconds here, and we're going to go back to 90. Let's see how it feels. After this, we'll switch to the upper back. Try to release through a little bit to our upper body posture. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now a full 90 degrees. Try to be nice L shape with your body. And if it's too much or you don't have the flexibility to have your legs straight in an L shape, you can bend your knees like you're sitting in a chair. Of course, if at any time it's too much with one leg, you can just have only one leg bearing the weight. But try to see if you can challenge yourself to keep your hips and knees stacked. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Easing off. All right, so our glutes definitely took a beating there. We did the upper part, the middle part, the glute med. We definitely really worked that whole backside. Now we're going to move to the upper body. We're going to start with our rhomboids, always a good one. So we're going to take the ball, we're going to place it right between our shoulder blades, but between our spine and our shoulder blades. So I'm going to start on my right side. So here, taking the ball, placing it right between the spine and the shoulder blade. And then if you can, try to hug yourself. So I'm going to hug myself like this. You can hug yourself like this, whatever way you want to hug yourself. You're going to cross your arms in front of your body. You're going to place the ball between the spine and shoulder blade. You can also do this one against a wall if you prefer, but I'm going to do it on the floor. So this one can be pretty rough. But here, make sure you cross your arms, and your goal is to sink the ball right between the spine and the shoulder blade, tracing the inside of the shoulder blade. And of course, here, you can either move up and down a bit. You can simply stick to a single spot. If you find a really hard knot or just a particularly rough area, that's normal. Try and just breathe through it. The key part is don't try to force yourself into the mat. Don't actually press into the mat. Let gravity do the work for you. The goal, especially in myofascial release, is never to try to force any movement. You want to let your body naturally try to relax into it. That's the key part. So here you can shift up or shift down a couple of seconds and hold each spot for a little bit at a time. Or you can just work your way up and down, whatever works for you. Again, as long as your focus is on release and not on just feeling as much pain as possible. We're going to be here for at least another 30 seconds. We're just going to slowly just either work through any particular area or just simply sit and think and breathe. You know, whatever works for you. Slow, deep breaths. Couple seconds in and couple seconds out. All right, in 3, 2, and now we're going to switch sides. So we're going to take the ball, you simply move it a couple inches to the other side on the mat, or on the floor. Hug yourself as much as you can and sink in. Once again, you can just focus on a particular area, a particular knot, or you can just generally roll up and down. There is no right way to do it. Just find out whatever works for your body. Every body has different needs. Of course, when you request your questions, feel free to put them in the chat anytime. More than happy to answer them or take requests. Slow, deep breath. And 3, 2, 1. Easing off. Great. Now we're going to switch back to the roller briefly. We're just going to do a general back rolling. So the does since you roll right in between our rhomboids, and we're going to kind of get any spots we missed. We're going to take the roller or half roller if you have it. Here, place it in the middle of your back or just underneath your shoulder blades. You're going to cross your arms like this, or if you find you have a head and neck, if you have a head and neck issues, you're going to hold your own head up like this and just roll up and down. This is just to get any spots we missed, and just roll right to the middle of our back, right to back to the very top. So from the middle of your back, it's just working through any kind of tension, right to the top of your shoulder blades. This is to hit any areas we missed, or just get a general nice back release after that pretty intense one with the rhomboids. And you're just rolling and working through. Make sure you don't cross past your middle back. We don't want to go into our lower back. That puts a bit too much shear force on our spine, but on our upper back here is okay with the shoulder blades. Just working through any kind of tension. And once again here, if you want to just sit in a particular area, that's fine, or you can just generally roll up and down. Just working through any kind of tension or any spots you missed. Maybe about 15 more seconds here. Then we're going to switch to the upper traps. What you can also, you can do a passive bend as well. If you want to just simply kind of rest your tailbone on the ground, place the roller maybe between your shoulder blades right in the middle, and then just slowly ease back and do a very gentle crunch forward, supporting the head. That's fully valid too. If you don't want to roll up and down, either you're not feeling it or it's too painful, even doing this, like a nice gentle bend forward and then a nice vertebral stretch back is fine too. Again, find what works for you. Maybe 10 more seconds of whatever variation you like, rolling up and down, or a gentle bend and crunch. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hopefully your back is feeling a little looser. Now we're going to go to a spot where a lot of people hold tension, is the upper traps. You get tension headaches, you need to kind of clench your jaw, or you say general tight neck muscles. The upper traps tend to take a lot of stress. So you're going to go back to the ball. We're going to do a bit of landmarking. We're going to find our collarbone. Once we find our collarbone, we're going to grab that chunk of neck meat behind it, or our upper trap, if you know your anatomy. We're going to place the ball just underneath that big chunk of side neck or your upper trap muscle. It's going to feel like it's behind your collarbone, so right here. And from this position, whichever side the ball is on, you're going to take that same arm and very slowly and gently just make some nice gentle waves. It's going to crest the arms up and down, make gentle waves. And here, if you have tightness in the overhead, if you're restricted in the overhead range of motion, which a lot of people are, you can go for a nice passive stretch similar to the angels, where you're just going to take your arm, you're going to let it rest above your head, and just gradually let it sink towards the floor as you breathe through your stomach, just slowly working. And then here we're going to work our way up and down, taking slow, deep breaths. And here, if you want to expand, you can even draw circles. You can draw crescents or half moons. You can make circles one way, circles the other. Our goal here is also just to explore. Notice if you're restricted moving one way or the other. Again, drawing circles, cresting up and down, drawing half moons. You could spell your name if you want. Just whatever motion feels good. So slowly releasing the upper traps. Of course, if you want to hold it in a particular spot, that's entirely fine too. Maybe here for about 15 or 20 more seconds. Maybe you just choose to sink into a particular spot or just move through range of motion that feels really good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to switch sides. So here, placing the ball, finding your collarbone first. Line marking, so on the collarbone, grab a chunk of neck that's right behind it. You should feel like a wedge. And to place the ball, you want to push that whole wedge or that chunk of a muscle up. So the ball's right underneath there. Then from here, same arm, just slowly cresting up and down. And definitely notice if one side is worse than the other, or if it's more restricted. Just going to slowly work through any kind of tension in that upper trap. If you want to just simply hang back with your arm above your head and let your arm slowly sink towards the floor, that's fine too. For a lot of people who especially have overhead restrictions or a really tight trap. And of course, here now you can draw circles, draw moons. You can go in a spiral, whatever shapes you like. Just focus on moving freely and working through any kind of restriction in the upper body, in the upper trap. Maybe 15, 20 more seconds here. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're actually going to end off with 3 stretches. So from here, especially we just did the upper trap, we're going to use that space we just gained. We're going to very gently bring one hand behind the back. Whichever arm is behind your back, I want you to try to drop that shoulder and tilt your head in the other direction. We're trying to depress the shoulder as much as we can, tilt our head away, go for a nice stretch along the side of the neck. If you want, you can very gently, and I stress gently, take your fingertips, place them on top of your head and apply some gentle extra stretching to that upper trap. But again, don't actually yank. You want to do a nice gentle pressure. Even just resting the hand on top can be enough. And try and breathe through it. We're going to really use that space we just gained by releasing the upper trap. We 10, 15 more seconds here. Breathing out. Excellent. Now other side. The one hand behind her back. Gently tilting your head away. If you can take your fingertips, rest them on top of your head, and very gently add to the stretch. We're trying to drop the shoulder as much as we can and tilt your head away. Taking it nice and slow with our breathing. And 5, 4, 3, 2. When our last stretch is going to look a little funny, but luckily I'm the only one that's going to be recorded. We're going to take both hands, place them behind our back. We're going to point our chin to the sky, and we're going to stretch the front of our neck. Typically, we don't think of it as the area that needs stretching, but if we're texting or on the computer or our chin is towards our chest, it's a good area just to help release any kind of tension. So we're going to point our chin to the sky. We're going to place both hands behind our back. We're going to pull both those shoulders back, really point the chin. And then from here, you're going to make a funny, almost like chewing motion or like a mouth open and closing motion, just to stretch all the fascia and all the front of the neck muscles like the sternocleidomastoid and all our front neck flexors. So here, pointing that chin up, squeeze back those shoulders, and almost like make like a chewing motion, like It's going to feel a little funny, but you can even turn your chin a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right. But it's going to stretch all that fascia in front of the neck. It tends to get really short if we're texting or if our chin is towards our chest. Maybe 10 more seconds here. Again, if you want to make a chewing motion or like an open talking motion. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, slow release. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Thank you everyone who attended online, and thank you everyone who's watching this later on YouTube. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week.